everyone, welcome back again to the Iconis podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D, for Deep, Dark, and Delicious. Hey, and on my side, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, the one who's got me dancing all night long, and that is
DJ Rod C. Good day, everyone. Listen, we're gonna have a good time right now. Listen, we are gonna be talking about the crying Freeman. Crying Freeman. Who's that? You're gonna find out. But as they always say, manner maketh the man. What does that mean?
What does that mean? The man. So we're going to do the round table. So remember, you got to support the books that we read and support the show and all, right? It's a whole ecosystem. So please, if you're out in Kitchener, check out WoW Comics. If you're out in Cambridge, check out Hero's Tale. And if you're out in Montreal, please check out Check Swings. There you go. If you too are looking to do a podcast, you got to check out Podbean. You can just find our podcast on there, iconis.podbean.com, and you too can do a podcast. And on top of it, we are also part of the Subculture Podcast Network. You can't go wrong. So it's ourself with Rebel Rock Radio, Dork Wars, The Portable Hole, Entertainment Rants Podcast, and Trekker's Delight. There we go. Now, if you want to find where I'm going to be, what I'm doing, when I'm doing my stand-up or anything else, you can check out barry3d.com for all links and social media. There's the hub. There's the mecca. Rod, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on the World Wide Web. As I always say, you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. You can find me on twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. You can find me in the world of Twitter at DJ Rod C1. That's DJ Rod C1. All right.
Hey. And also, hey, before we forget, if you need any kind of graphic work done, please.
Let's go.
There's only one man that you need to reach out to worldwide. And that is the one and only
J Bird Digital Art.
Mr. Jason Reese, J Bird Digital Arts. You reach out to him and tell him that you heard about him on the Iconis podcast, and he will give you a discount off the work. All right. Thank you, Jay, for making us look so pretty. As we said on this episode on the Iconis podcast, the icon is
Crying Freeman.
Crying Freeman. We're still
I know I said the before everybody comes for us. I realize I said the, but it's right. Yeah. Just basically Crying Freeman. Okay, so listen, I was just being very excited. Oh,
jeez. It's okay, because you know what? Is it Batman? The Batman? Who knows? Everyone's got their own variation of it, right? Yeah. You know, it could be Superman, right. It's Crying Freeman, the Crying Freeman. What? He's one of a kind. Okay.
One of a kind,
absolutely. So why not? We're still on an anime kick, and this is something I think that people should turn around and jump into. So Crying Freeman. Who's Crying Freeman? You're going to find out. Well, who we go fan cast for Crying Freeman? You're going to find out. What's Crying Freeman about? You got some tickets on you. We'll find out. Okay. So as I said before, and I gave this away, I came across Crying Freeman back in the day as an anime, and I thought this is one of the cooler animes because visually it was different. It stood out from every anime at the time that I saw when it first came out in the 80s. And what got me is this guy, good-looking man, he's got a sword, he's got a knife in his mouth, and he's bare-chested on the cover, and he's got this whole dragon tattoo. Now, if all you tattoo fanatics in there, I'd like to see someone pull that one off. Starts his as purple and wraps all the way around his beautiful body. And all the way down his legs is this one dragon tattoo. So who is Crying Freeman? Well, Crying Freeman is an assassin. So let's get into the basics of it. So Crying Freeman had its original run in 1986. That's when it first came out, in 1986 up to 1988. There's a lot of different things of Crying Freeman. So you have the anime, you've got the manga. There was even a live action movie. And this was created by or written by Kazuo Koike. There you go. I think I got it this time. Kazuo Koike. There we go. So Kazuo Koike is a long-standing writer within the anime manga community and has worked on numerous projects. This man has worked on anything you can think of. So I'm going to pull up the list here and we're going to go through why some of this stands out to me. So here's a project that he's done more than that, but stand out to me. First of all, he's done Fist of the North Star. Okay, there we go. He's been a freelance writer on the Dragon Quest video game series. Okay. Baki the Grappler, which you can watch on Netflix. You can read the mangas and all that. Really detailed too when it gets into the fighting style. Apocalypse Zero. These are things that kind of made me go, oh, Vampire Hunter D. Got to put that one on the list. Okay. So these are a lot of them that he wrote. Lone Wolf and Cub.
Classic.
You watch The Mandalorian, you pretty much watch the modern day Lone Wolf and Cub. Okay, there we go. He's worked on the Hulk, the Magna, you know. He's done Lady Snowblood. He's done a Wolverine story, and it's gone on. Mad Bull 34. That's another crazy police over the top drama anime. Don't watch it with your kids. He did X-Men Unlimited in issue number 50, right? The new Lone Wolf and Cub. So the list has gone on over the amount of years this man has been within the business. He's penned, a lot of great stories that I know still stand the test of time. I know they still have a vested interest in it, and you got to take it for what it was, right? Rod, have you ever watched any of or read any of the Crying Freeman stuff?
No, I haven't read, but I just like you. I remember watching it like back in the day. So definitely when we're coming up, it's kind of hard to find a straight copy for me to just go over it. But anything that I can clips and everything like that, it definitely gave me a good refresher of it. But I do remember watching it, and I agree. It was very very different at the time, and realizing that came after Fist of the North Star, and you can see the similarities in the drawings, the artistry of it. So I can see the similarities and realizing, okay, I can see why I like this, because as we already know, we like the Fist of the North Star, just parallel right there, right here, right though, right though,
right here, right now. Okay, there. Okay, I won't get into that, right? And Rochi Igamana. It was the illustrator of the original run of this. So this made its run back. I mean, and it's out still now. You can still find the books. It was done by, let's see here, in Big Comic Spirit. So there we go. So it was it was a magazine called Shokukan. So it started off in Shokukan in that magazine from Big Comic Spirits, and that ran from 1986 to 1988. And then it was first published in North American shores by Viz Comics. So Viz Comics got the rights to put it and translate it and have it over here. And hey, great, Viz Media. And they were the ones that were writing for it for the longest time. And it republished, it got republished a lot of times. And then finally, Dark Horse Comics finally got the rights to this. So I'm looking here at my notes. And they put it together in 5 volumes. And the story was adapted by the OVA by Toei Animation, right? Which you I like Toei Animation. They bring a lot of great stuff, but I still don't understand Dragon Ball Super. With Goku, the home. Okay, all right.
We'll get back to that. We'll get back to that.
All right. Stay on target. Stay on target. Right. So find out whatever Crying Freeman is. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. And Crying Freeman is very much, I guess it's got a lot of aspects of things that we've already seen, but it's been portrayed a little bit differently. So bottom line, Crying Freeman, he's an assassin. Not from the get-go, but he ends up being that way. So Crying Freeman, when he starts off, his name is Yo. Okay? That's the man's name. Don't make fun of it. It's Yo. Don't ask me to say the last name, because we all know I'm going to mess it up. But the character's first name is Yo, and he's an artist. He's a Japanese potter. No, sorry, he's a Chinese potter. He makes, so all the pottery stuff and all that. And he's Chinese, and this adds more to the story when you get into it. So hold on, I'll make sure I got this right. No,
he's Japanese. He's a Japanese potter. Japanese potter.
Sorry, I'm going back and forth. My apologies. He's a Japanese potter. And he's, well known within Japan, China, around Asia. Let's just put it away. He's well known around Asia to, make these works of art. And I'll get back to this, for maybe a little bit later. But he's really good with his hands. It's meticulous. He pays attention, pays a lot of attention to detail. So how does this play into him being an assassin? Well, one of his exhibitions showings, he's got a whole showing. The news media is there. He's showing off his new pottery design that he has out, that he made, his new work of art. He's an artist, bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And inadvertently, he witnesses an assassination. The assassin, he sees the assassin, and he ends up getting the proof of this assassination by some film. There was some film of the assassination attempt. He ends up getting the film inadvertently, doesn't know what to do with it. He's thinking, okay, the right thing to do is go and take this into the police. The assassination was no, the person that got hit was like a high-level politician. He sees it, got the proof of it, trying to figure out what to do. And then he gets kidnapped by the group that had the assassin that took him in. And that was the Chinese mafia known as the 108 Dragons.
Hmm.
There we go. Now you can see why I got a little bit. So he's a Japanese potter. He gets picked up by the 108 Dragons. And they look at him and they see something in him. And they're like, well, instead of us disposing of him, we can use him to our advantage. So through numerous techniques and a little bit of torture, they brainwash him. They break down his spirit. They transform him into a stone cold killer. Now, keep in mind, because he's an artist and he's good with his hands and he's very dexterous with his fingers, it adds to that. So the two main heads of the 108 Dragon at the time recruit him as an older couple, and they take him in, they train him, and bit by bit, over months, they train him in physical combat, weapons, they break down his mind, and then they want to use him. So who better to get into certain situations than the person you least expect? Why get an assassin and train them to be an artist when you can just simply get the artist and train them as an assassin? It adds to the credibility to get into where they want to get to. This is my opinion of how I've taken this in. And if you have a different thought of it, let us know in the comments below. So he gets in there, he gets, by the 108 Dragons, gets brought in, and then he gets sent out for his first mission. He's got his handler, and he goes out, and he's in a white suit, and he goes, and in broad daylight, he does this one assassination where he just kind of runs up, shoots a guy point blank in the head, broad daylight, but, through a security force. So this high-level politician, once again, is coming out. He's got a security detail around them. He runs, gets past them, gracefully does the assassination, keeps on going. No one can catch him, jumps in the car, boom. He puts some, C4 on the gun, throws a gun into, a sewer. It blows up. Evidence destroyed. Gone. Now, where does he get the name Crying Freeman? Because every time he does a job, a successful job, he'll sit there stone cold and you see he's fine. But then he starts slowly releasing tears and he starts crying. And what that is his subconscious still misses the life he had. And it's like two people in one body. Crying Freeman is now the dominant personality, the inside personality, still remembers his life and feels sympathy for those that he takes down. Even though it doesn't seem like he has any remorse, that's how it comes out. So it comes out in tears that they called him Crying Freeman because, his name's not Freeman, but he wants to be free. He's a man that wants to be free and he can't. So, he's overcome by emotion every time he has a successful job. And therefore, that's why he has the nickname Crying Freeman. And they refer to him as that within the 108 Dragons.
No, I just got George Michael Freeman in my head. Just saying.
Okay, there you go.
It's Freeman.
Free, right?
Freeman.
Okay, all right. So this is why he gets the Crying Freeman. This is where I had the little faux pas at the beginning where I said, he was Chinese, but he's really Japanese. And the Chinese mafia, the 108 Dragons, take this Japanese artist, train him, and use him to be their foot soldier. Now, before you get into stuff like, Barry, that's not possible. I don't know. Have you read an X-Men book? Have you read about Wolverine? Mind wipe, mind condition. He's the best at what he does, and what he does is not pretty. Okay. Sabretooth? All right. Department H? Okay. You know, Department H was on Canadian soil, right? It seems that we do a lot of damage. People think on the surface we're nice, but deep down, you know, Department H, Department K. Yeah. We
Sleeper
fight
cells
dirty.
assassin, man. Sleeper cells assassins. That's what we are, man. Sleeper cells assassins. That's what we are.
Right?
About
Exactly.
that, huh? About Oh, we're about that, huh? We're about that.
We're about that, eh? We're about that, eh?
Hey.
Yes. So this is what it comes down to. So if you look at the storylines like Department H, Department K, you look at Steve Rogers, super soldier, made to be the best he was, to do what he needed to do for his country or for his cause, however you want to put it together. And there's others within Marvel Universe, DC Universe, you know, Slade Wilson, you know, Deathstroke the Terminator. He wasn't brainwashed, but he was brought to peak condition and, you know, went into his, you know, he got the formula. He took the experiment to make him who he was. We've seen this before. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we've seen this trope. We've seen this trope
before. Mind altering, turned into a deadly weapon against their will, and they got to make the best of the situation. All right. Up to now, I'm on board, right? And he's supposed to have such a presence that even just standing in him when he's just bearing his spirit, his presence overwhelms people. This man is very calm under pressure, shows no fear, and does what needs to be done. So, Rod, I'm going to stop here at this point. What do you got to say about Crying Freeman, our man Yo?
So yeah, I mean, Yo is very he's a very interesting character. So as you stated, he is good under pressure. You got to look at it from the standpoint, you know, you want a silent assassin who's just, you know, who's level-headed, who just doesn't show his hand, doesn't allow people to know who he is. You know, he's supposed to be in and out, be that, you know, that unknown. Was there a person behind me? I don't. Takes you all types of scenario. But you see, like you said, they saw something in him. Now, if you think about it, you're a potter. You got to be good with your hands. So we just take that off for half a second. You got to be very skillful and very calm because you know you're working with clay, and any wrong move, whoop, that vase is messed. Oh, there goes that mug. Oh, that plate's all messed up. It's uneven. So you got to be very calm and collective. So again, maybe that could be an underlined way of the writer writing that and making it like saying, well, you know what, we're coming from a different aspect of it. You would never think of a potter, of creating an assassin out of a potter. So you know, it's a small little part of it, but you know, if you really pull down the layers, you start to break down a couple of stuff along that line. But Crying Freeman itself is a nice, interesting one. Like I said, you had some remnants of the style it was for the time. That movie, that anime was great because at the time there wasn't a lot of the structure of anime was if you're into fighting, if you're into having pretty girls, you know, damsel in distress type of scenario, hey, we're gonna give you that. Check that off. So I loved it in the sense that you're just seeing wonderful type of antics, action, flying through the air. Like just to go back to that same part in regards to when Barry was just saying about when he made that assassination, you just see a clip, you'll see him running, whatever the case to be, and you saw me earlier, you see me diving to the side. So all it is like, and then touch and roll. And he had a mask. So he had basic one of those Chinese type of masks, like a dragon mask for like a Chinese festival. So again, he comes in, slow-mo, gone. Before everybody realized security was just happened. The target's down. What? The target, everybody losing the mind. But it's showing smoothness. And then there's another one where he's having a fight with a lady and another person who's coming after him. This is later on in the movie.
Yeah.
But he's now doing visualizing, and this is why I said this movie was nice, because of at least certain things like this. Back in those days, you're looking for action. You're going to have someone basically facing you, and at the last second, kind of like turning away. You think, okay, I'm going to get you. What that person is doing now, Freeman basically has a knife in his hand, has a dagger, that same dagger that he has in his hand, and he basically goes into like a forward type of position, like he's about to jump away. But at the same time, he flings the knife, basically catches it with his 2 feet, or was it just the 1 foot? I'm now trying to
Caught it with
remember.
his toes.
Yeah, he caught it with the toes,
His
and he
big
just
toe and his
basically,
toe right beside. He caught it in between his toes.
and then try to hit the other person. Like, woo, just dodge it out, little Matrix kind of style. But the fact is that you're supposed to be that skilled. Again, this person was not really initially created or trained to be an assassin. He just had the skills. They saw something in him. The calmness, he has something within that we can take the type of structure, the type of training he has, and having that precision type of mindset, and we can move it over here. So, I mean, I've seen what you can, what's the possibility with this movie. And again, it's the average trope of, we find somebody, change them against their will, per se, in that regard. You can't do that now. No, 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 no. And then create something out of them, and then realize, like, you know what, I don't like that. I want it better for my life, and we'll get into that part later. But all that to say, it's a very interesting movie. Okay, that's it. That's
Right.
it.
And I get it, because it ran 5 parts, right? So it was like 5 OVAs, like original version animes that came out. So 5 OVAs that came out, different stories and it had a subplot that was going on. So in the first one, we meet Yo, Himonara, right? Hinomura. There we go. That's Yo's name. So we get to see him. Thank you. So we get to see him. We get to see the 108 Dragons. We get to see his training. And of course, now it's only 40 something minutes, the very first one. So it's going to go very quick pace. You got to figure they could have been more. Yes, I get it. But come on, let's enjoy the ride. Then he goes out for his first couple of jobs. Okay, montage, no problem. Rod, you described some of it. But then he goes on another mission. And I think the mission I was talking about, where he turns around and that's it. The one he turns around and he runs, where we're talking about basically where he's got the mask and he goes, gets the guy, through the security detail, does the job, runs, jumps in the car, takes the knife, this gun, puts it in the floor, throws out the window, it blows up. A woman sees him. A woman catches his face. No one else saw his face until he was around the corner. He took off, his mask. So she's the only one that saw his face, and he looked her right in the eyes, kind of, got you. So now she goes back to her place, and you realize at this point in her stage in her life, her parents are gone. Like, her parents have passed away. She too is a kind of a wallflower. She's a bookworm. She's always home. She's always alone. She paints, but she realizes that, oh geez, I saw the assassin's face. He has no choice but to come and tie up loose ends and take me out, end my life. So she turns around and she's alone at night. She doesn't call the police. She realizes her fate. She's like, why fight it? And she's very somber. And she goes in and she paints a portrait of his face, because that image of his face, she said there was like a beauty in it, and it struck her deep down in her soul. And she went home, painted the face, and that's how she spent like 2 days, just being home and looking at this picture and memorizing, and everything she had in memory, she committed to paper. Beautiful painting. And then sure enough, one night, like I think it was the second night, Yo, or Freeman, we'll call him Freeman from this point on. Freeman shows up, and he gets into the house. She sees him, just run. She doesn't scream. She doesn't make any noise. He comes over, and she's like, I know why you're here. I know what you have to do, but I only have one request. And he's just walking calmly towards her, and he stops, and he sees the painting that she did. And even asked her, like, did you do this painting? It's like, yes. Does anyone know where this is from? She's like, nope. He's like, okay. Artist to artist, skill to skill, game recognized game.
Right.
right? She's super talented. And he's like, well, I'm here to do what must be done. And she goes, I got one request. He's like, okay, what is it? Before I die, I just have one wish. I have never made love to anyone before. Before I go, and you do what you have to do, make love to me. What? 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 You start
how to throw assassin off his game. How to throw assassin off his game. You're not James Bond, so you're not accustomed to that. James, well, he know what to do.
Right?
Okay, cool.
James would be all over that. James would have been there within 2 hours, let alone 2 days.
No, exactly. So, just prepping the land. But anyways, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He pulls her in. They start kissing. They disrobe. And, and now forgive my memory. I'm not sure if he too is a virgin at this point or not. I clearly he hasn't been with many women. So I think he's a virgin himself. So when he takes off his outfit that he's wearing, you see him standing there in the buff, in his baby suit. And that's when you see that full out dragon tattoo from top, like just below his neck, right down to his ankles. And it's a very, for someone that's coming to do a job, it's a very passionate love scene that they put into this anime. And when he's supposed to do what he's supposed to do, he can't do it. He can't do it. They send his handler in there to do the job, and he kind of stops him, and then he runs away, kind of thing. Like, all right, can't do it. So goes back with his handler, and his handler's like, well, did you do the job? Nope. Ooh, the heads of the 108 dragons ain't gonna like that. He's like, nope, can't do it. And we look at a lot of stuff in Crying Freeman, and I think, okay, we see, the nudity, you see the action, his job, it's right, but it's a love story. It's a kindred love story. These two people fall in love. Like, this is a soulmate story. This is a Romeo and Juliet pairing. Okay, that's the best way I can describe it. And this is why it stands out, because it's not just one story. There's more, there's layers to it. It's not just, okay, I'm killing off everybody, I'm the best there is, right? He's got more depth to him than that. They both do. So he refuses to, and she's a Japanese artist, right? So, he's a Japanese artist. She's Japanese herself. And he goes back, and of course, they find out that he doesn't kill her. The leaders of the 108 Dragons are, like, they're older. They're in their 70s, if not older than that.
Mm-hmm.
And they find out, it's like, what do you mean you can't kill him? And they start beating him, and then, the wife of the leader of the 108 Dragons, and the name escapes me right now, she turns around and starts beating on him and yelling at him and calling him every name in the book. The husband's standing there and is like, oh, you idiot. Starts beating and going on. And at one point they stop, and it's like, do you love her? And he's like, yes. And he's like all swollen and beaten. He doesn't even fight back. Do you love her? Yes. Okay. Well, if you love her, does she love you? Yes. We're going to find out. Go and bring her here. Nope. We didn't say anything about killing her. Go and bring her here. So he goes back. He brings her to the 108 Dragons, to the leaders, and they too reveal to themselves that, one, they're the leaders of the 108 Dragons. Two, they are husband and wife. Now, because of their rules are no nepotism. So you could have a wife, you can have a husband within the 108 Dragons, you can lead them, but you're not allowed to have kids. The procedure is you're supposed to have your, for the woman, she's supposed to have her uterus removed, so there's no childbearing. So they explain to her, it's like, if you plan on being with, Freeman,
mm-hmm.
you can't ever have kids. Understand that's never going to happen. There's a rule for that. There's a reason for that. Yes.
Right.
All right. You know the world he's in. You know what he does. Yes. Do you accept it? Yes. Do you think you can be a part of it? Yes. We gonna find out. So they turn around and they agree with it, and they let them marry.
Right.
So first thing to do, they do a whole ceremony saying, okay, he's gonna marry. And because the original couple, at least the 108 Dragons, is getting ready to retire, they need a new leader. So we figure over the time, Freeman has done a couple of assassinations. He's moved up in the ranks. He's gained the respect of the rest of the 108 Dragons. The 108 Dragons have a board console, and this board of members. Each one has their own individual name, but of course they're also named after the planet. So you have Jupiter and Saturn and Mars, and they have all these names as their titles within their name. Pluto. So during this whole ceremony, they bring her in there. They get married. During this, she has to get a tattoo. She gets 2 tigers that cover her front and back to match. So the tiger and the dragon, which matches each other's energy. One needs the other, and vice versa. And there's a whole, speech or mentality behind it. Then they turn around and it's like, well, we're gonna make him. We're going to make Freeman the new leader of the 108 Dragons going forward. So all the members are coming up and they're giving congratulations. And then one of them comes up and he goes to, and every person's coming up. He's like, he'll say your title, gives a hug. Say his title, gives a hug. One of them comes up to come and give a hug. And then you see him open his mouth and he's got, like, instead of regular teeth, they're all fangs, like spikes instead of teeth. And he goes to bite Freeman's neck. And then the 2 former ones, the former couple that led them, is like, Freeman, look out. And Freeman grabs him and not backflips, but just kind of body slams him, like a good old wrestling move. But of course, he makes sure his head hits first. His adversary's head hits the concrete first. Bust up. Oops. Okay. Oops. Bust up. And then that starts a war with the 108 Dragons and the Yakuza. So they need Freeman to lead them against this war of bad men running across China. Here we go. In the same time, the other story is Imu. She gets her testing. So at one point, the former leaders, even though they're not 100% resigned, they still have leadership over the 108 Dragons, but Freeman is really that person doing it. They put her through a series of tests. In one test, she gets kidnapped, and it seems Freeman can't find her. And, a bunch of guys come in there and they're about to rape her. And she looks at them and they're like, look, just give us Freeman and we'll let you go. And she's like, nope. And my girl runs out the window of like a 10-story building. The only reason she survived is because it was a test. They wanted to see how dedicated she was to protecting her husband, guarding the secrets of him and the 108 Dragons. And she proved that by jumping out of a window after being like kidnapped, tortured. And keep in mind, when she jumps out this window, there's no parachute, there's no secret gadgets, there's no device. She jumped out the window full well ready to take her own life. And the only thing that saved her was there was the firemen, they put a big blow up, kind of mattress when people want to jump off a building or they have one of those at the bottom. She didn't know that was there though. So when she jumps out, she lands on it and everyone's like, you passed the test. I'm like, wow.
Y'all crazy trying to play my life. God dang it. But you know what? For Freeman, for the colony, for the 108.
Right, exactly. So Freeman gets and don't forget, so Freeman, he gets the name of Long Tai Yang. That's his new name that he gets renamed within the 108 Dragons. And Emo is renamed Hu Huang Lao, and they both passed the test to lead the Dragons. So now that's another story. So you get into the storyline of the 108 Dragons fighting Yakuza. The Yakuza's got their assassins. Freeman is the assassin. He's got his wife at the same time. And there's a whole lot of stuff. Now, keep in mind, I know you watch it at first and you're like, is Freeman a dog at one point? No, because there's the Yakuza that Freeman has to deal with. There is an African mafia that Freeman has to deal with and has to deal with all their assassins. And the thing is, he overcomes them, but in the strangest way. And it's almost like a James Bond-ish kind of thing. Like it starts off like these people are trying to kill Freeman. Freeman's fighting back to kill them. And then Freeman finds a way to overcome them. But then they say his essence is so strong that it causes people to kind of, whoa, why am I trying to kill you again? Maybe I should follow you. And a lot of times he ends up sleeping with other women. But the woman he sleeps with swear loyalty to him and the 108 Dragons, even though they're part of the Russian mafia, the African mob, North American. They don't matter. Most of these female assassins try to bring down Freeman. One, he'll sleep with him. Two, they swear loyalty to him and his wife.
His conversion rate is throughout the roof. That's basically what it is. His conversion rate is throughout the roof. Guy got skill. He got Riz. He got Riz.
He got Riz. He got Riz. So, this guy turns around and is able to do all these things. Now, keep in mind, this is world building. So he was Hitman before Hitman. You understand that? I would love to see a video game of this play out properly. With all the history and the lore. And Freeman, inadvertently, if you don't pay attention to it, he's getting assassins from different mafia groups all under the 108 Dragons. And you want to know, how big are the 108 Dragons? How powerful are the 108 Dragons? At one point, the 108 Dragons have a private island and they have their own sub. So they have their own submarine, not a little submersible, a submarine full of man, crew, and they have like not a yacht. They got a ship. They got a cruise ship, not a yacht. And that's how they go around, with their whole team and all that. He's almost like running like if the 108 Dragons with Freeman were in the Marvel universe, Nick Fury would have to deal with him. Right? The Shield, that's how big this organization is. Put it checkmate, classic checkmate from DC would have to deal with them. This is how big their organization is and threatening. And even though they're based in China, worldwide. All right, Rod. Okay. Well, there's more there, but yeah.
No.
Go ahead, cuz.
No. I'm just saying it's. I mean, there's, like I said earlier, there's a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers to how this character is, and the storyline can just be built off of this. I mean, we're looking at it, from the younger eyes from back in the days. You're watching it and seeing the complexity of it. But you're right. It's a nice soft action rom type of story. So you're getting your action, you get your romance, you get your you just get your intimacy of showing, like saying, like, a person can be as tough as an assassin and realizing that he has the qualities to be, embrace different type of aspects, of a person's life. It's a very interesting thing. So yeah, I liked it with stuff like that.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's a whole story. So it's not just always about crying Freeman. So here's a couple of other caveats to that story. So one, if you look at his wife, she goes and finds her own story because at one point she realizes that, hey, Freeman he's an assassin. He's in a world. It's a violent world. She can't always depend on Freeman to come and save her. She has to start being able to defend herself. She doesn't want to be the weak link that brings her husband down. So is she ready to take her secrets to the grave? Absolutely. But at the same time, she doesn't want to throw her life away foolishly. She wants to live her life as much with Freeman as much as possible. So she decides to take up, find out the defense. And she believes, she wants to she took up a sword and starts learning the art of like the samurai pretty much. And then she finds about a particular sword that's a cursed sword. It's got the blood of so many victims that anyone that grabs it kind of goes a little bit crazy at one point. And she hears a calling of this sword, gets drawn to it, and pulls it out. And people are like, oh man, you can't use that sword. Even when she goes to see a sword master to teach her how to use the sword, he's like, I can teach you, but that sword has driven many people crazy. Until you figure it out, I can't do nothing for you. And she goes, and of course, there's a lot of nudity in Freeman. So she goes to the top of the building and she does a whole ceremony in the nude with this sword. And she realizes that what a lot of people try to do when they get this sword, let's say it's a sword of power. And if you get the sword of power, they want to dominate the sword of power to its will. And she realized that's not the approach to take. The approach to take is to talk to it as an equal and ask for its help and, ask for the power, ask for its help. Say, I want to work with you. I don't want to dominate you.
Right.
And that's when the sword and her form this unison that, okay, we're good. He's like, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. And when she goes to find the sword master, she goes to the worst part of town in one of the toughest neighborhoods. And she's a good looking woman and she's walking in like the worst part of town. So a lot of people, realize, hey, she's a good looking woman. And then they start to realize, wait a minute, that's Freeman's wife. If we can capture her, we can use her as ransom for the 108 dragons. So she's preparing to take on all these criminals with this sword by herself. And then the sword master comes in. It's like, look, I'm going to defend you. This leads into a whole series of events. But sure enough, who shows up flying in? Once again, just in his underwear on a giant glider? Freeman. Yeah, when he shows up, it's like, are we good? Yeah, we're good. Like, no one wants to mess with him because now the big man is there. And even though he's outnumbered, they know his reputation. They know his skill. Everyone's like, yeah. And then they see her with a sword and they're like, yeah. So, and I'll get back to the other part is, sorry, go ahead, Rod.
No. I'm just saying, we're good. We'll just let it go. That was just reenacted.
So then there's the other part where you had the older couple that was retiring from the 108 Dragons from being the active leaders, right? They're a husband and wife. Right. The reason they passed the whole rule of not having any kids is because they had a daughter themselves. They broke the rules. They kept the child in secret. They did their best to raise it. But keep in mind, 2 assassins, part of a criminal organization, and not just any organization, the 108 Dragons, and you're the head of the 108 Dragons, and you're raising a daughter. They said in their own words, they've raised a monster. They gave birth to a monster. So first of all, when you look at her, she's a very big, burly woman. But from the age of they said as soon as she can walk, she was able to assassinate people. And it was tough to have her nannies or their caretakers around because she would always try to kill them. Sorry, let me take away the word try. She would always kill them. So they had to banish her to an island to kind of keep her a secret. And that's when they made that new rule that to lead the 108 Dragons, you can be married, but no kids. So this way, every time it's got to be passed on, to somebody different and not through the bloodline. So because it's not going through your bloodline, so when she found out about Freeman, they took Freeman in like their surrogate son.
Right.
And they treated Freeman like that way. So when you look at it back, did they brainwash him? Did they abuse him? Did they train him at the same time? Were they really tough on him? Absolutely. But from their point of view, they weren't trying to break Freeman as an assassin. It was deeper than that. Freeman was their quote unquote son in their eyes. And that's how, if you look at it, they had a parent's love for them. So their biological daughter got extremely jealous, found out about it, got off the island, got her own League of Assassins, and tried to bring down the 108 Dragons. And once again, it was Freeman, her, Freeman's wife. It was a whole family affair. So it's a weird family dynamic. So you can picture, it's like mother, father, son, a daughter-in-law and daughter. Like, okay. And Freeman does win her over and calms her down. And then she decides to be the bodyguard for Freeman's wife throughout all this. And no jealousy. All those feelings were put aside and she buried them, or she dealt with them, or confronted them and realized it. And that's what it was. But I mean, when I say she's a big woman, she's almost like close to 7 feet tall. Yeah. But agile.
Got it.
Agile. Picture it. If let's just say Batman decided to stay with Talia and they had Damian, and then they raised Damian while under Ra's al Ghul. Batman gives up being Batman and says, hey, you know what? Ra's, you want me to lead the League of Shadows or League of Assassins? Yeah. You know what? I'm going to give up my journey as Batman. You make sense, Ra's. I'm going to follow your cause. So picture it this way as a Elseworlds tale where Batman stops being the Cape Crusader and starts working as Ra's al Ghul's son-in-law with his wife, or Ra's daughter, which would be Bruce Wayne's wife. And then they have Damian, and they raise Damian in that environment. So Bruce renounces his no-killing vow and takes on that League of Assassins mentality, then have a kid and raise it. You see how Damian is already, Okay, okay,
Right.
and it's
And
only
imagine
tempered
Bruce.
because his dad says no killing, and that's been a hard thing for Damien to deal with. So
Hmm.
imagine if he never got the whole no killing rule because dad kills, mom kills, granddad kills. And it's like, hey, you know what? I'm a kid in an organization. I don't care what you guys tell me. Don't let me
It's
tell
a
my mom,
family
my dad,
affair. It's a family
family affair.
affair.
Right? This is what it comes down to. So, all my jawing and yapping away, Brian Freeman to me resonates. This is a story. I never read the manga. That is true.
Hmm.
But the animes, absolutely all in. I got to pick up the manga. I got to find them somewhere and pick them up. All right, that's my whole spiel of Brian Freeman.
This guy. No, I mean it's again, we love, finding some, some oldies goodies and bringing to you all. And let us know how you guys feel, what you guys think about it. Put it in the comments below. But it's a character, it's a whole storyline that, like you said, it's a truth, it's a trope that you think you understand that trope, but this is a trope with a different type of layer that gives you a different point of view of how someone who was an innocent individual turned to the dark side, but realized, no, I could do good on this side. And that's really what that's another way of looking at it too. So yeah,
Yes, yes,
interesting.
absolutely. I mean, there's a lot more details to this. We're just giving you the top level view of
Oh
it.
yeah.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I know it's easier probably to find the first four, but I mean, there's more than that. I think there's six of the animations altogether you can find. It'd be great as a collection. Let us know. But now let's get down to it. So, Rod,
Hmm.
would you say about Crying Freeman? Okay, here's the bottom line. If could you see them redoing Crying Freeman? Would you want them to redo Crying Freeman? If so, how? And then let's go down the road.
I would like to see it then. And I mean, we normally find good IPs to talk about and to have the opportunity to bring it to life or to bring it, to update it. Yeah, I would like to actually see it because it will give us the I'm trying to think currently, what would be the modern Leon professional?
Ooh,
I don't think like this could be one of those type of movies that like Leon the Professional is an art by itself. Like it's a
yes,
classic that a lot of
yes,
people,
yes,
if you haven't got a chance, go look at it. You'll see believe that's the introduction to Natalie Portman, if I remember
yes.
correctly. That's her first one. And again, it just how an assassin just basically changed, his mind for a child, in that sense. So all that to say, you can see the closest similarity from there. If we brought this right now, Crying Freeman could be the modern 2024, 2025 version of that. And who would I would like it live. So let's just put
Okay,
that there. I would like it live.
okay. So hold on. No,
Is what?
so you're saying live? Got it. You see it now? Got it. Are you
Yes.
talking movie or series or
And
what are you
this
saying?
and this is where it would be interesting for the dynamics of how much layers this story has. It has to, I say has to. I would like it to be a series because it gives us the
Mm,
opportunity to get into the character and get an understanding of, what was written. And again, like I started off by saying, you got to look at the concept or the textile, the context of the movie when it was brought out. This was brought out like early 80s. Imagine
yeah.
now, 40 years later, you get a chance to dive in. A writer can just jump into and just go into that world and give us some more layers on that. Yeah, I could think a series out of that. So who would I would like?
Mm.
I would like an individual by the name of Henry Golding. Henry Golding, you say? Do you does the name sound familiar? Some may realize who I'm talking about. We're gonna just do it in reverse. I would like it because of he's the he's Nick Young from Crazy Rich Asian. He is Dry Eye from The Gentleman that just came out a couple of years ago. Um, but he was also, and maybe two or three reviews before, I picked out from this particular. I picked out the the uh, the other side of the coin. So now we're coming
Uh,
to the other. This individual, Harry Golden, was AKA Snake Eyes.
yeah. When you started going down there, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right,
So I'm looking
I
for
got you.
I'm looking for that poise. Like you said, he has that poise and how he is, in Rich, Crazy Rich Asian. He has that, you know, dry humor kind of thing with Gentleman. But I mean, the Snake Eyes having the ability to be, he already has the fighting skills. He knows how to handle himself with a sword. He has the action credibility, the chops
Yeah,
just to back any type of scene that's going to be required of him. He's like, okay,
yeah,
I've done this before.
yeah,
All right, what
yeah.
do you want me to do? So, yeah, Henry Golden will be for me. Now, are we doing ladies? Well, just do yours and we'll come back.
Okay, so I'm so here we go. So for myself, I am going with So yes, I love to see this turn around live action because I said we've had the cartoons, we've had the manga, we've had a live action
That's it.
movie. So
Right.
because all that is done, and even be surprised, people, the live action movie had this actor who was in John Wick 2 or John Wick 3. He was the bald one that he was fighting him. So he played Crying Freeman years ago in a live action treatment of this. So this IP, I think, movie, been there, done that. I need to go limited. Here we go. Limited series. So what I mean by limited series, there is 6 OVAs that are existing right now. Those OVAs run about 40 something minutes, about 48 minutes kind of thing, right? On average, 46, 48 minutes. I
Hmm.
want to take each of those and do it as a 6 limited series. So the first OVA, break it into a 3, 4 part, 1 hour each, right? And do that for each one. So say 4 of them, one, max 6. I think 6 would be dragging each too long for each one. But so take all 6 of those OVAs, break
Yeah.
them down into 4 part uh limited series. So you kind of get a quick season 1 to 6, 4 episodes in each one, get your background going. I think if it's more than that, can it work? Sure. Will the studios try to do like a 12, like a 10 to 12, or 12, 10 to 13 run? Absolutely. But I don't want things to drag out. So if they can't, I don't want filler. I want it to be just enough,
Straight, straight, straight.
leave you
Yeah.
wanting more. So if you're taking 48 minutes and you're going to transform that into 4 hours per, I think that's more than doable, more than good enough.
Hmm.
And that's how I want to see that done. Now, because of the subject matter, we know we can't be anything else. So it's got to be either a streaming service or, it's got to be something like HBO. HBO, where you can be a little bit more raw. Let me just put it that way on the content that is shown. So when I'm looking at HBO, I'm seeing, Game of Thrones and, and things along those lines. Like, Reacher. Reacher is somewhat not Reacher. Yeah. Um, Peacemaker. So we call it. So
Okay. Right.
Peacemaker, right? I know those, Game of Thrones, Black Sails, those are things. It's got to have, you can't shy away from some of the gore because that was what was shown in all its avenues, right? Be it if it was the live action movie, the OVAs, the manga, you have to have that, the nudity. You can't water that down. So it's got to be a streaming service that says, hey, not for kids, or it's got to be on, Showcase with the same kind of scenarios, right? We see what's on
Hmm.
Showcase. So that's how I wanted to play out. Now, for the actor to play it, I went deep, like I went deep, and this actor has been around for years. So his name is uh Takao Osawa. So Takao, and his last name is Osawa. Now, you might not recognize him from much on our side, but his film resume and TV resume is huge. He does speak English. He's got to have a little bit of an accent, and that's cool because when you have a Japanese person speaking English because they're native to Japan, that adds to it. And I want to see this because there's times he's going to have to deal with the Russian mafia. He's going to go to Russia. He is going to be dealing with in Africa. He's not going to speak perfect English because he was born and raised in Japan, living in China. So when he speaks English, he's going to have an accent, and that's going to add more to Crying Freeman being it more authentic. He's not going to come up and you're going to say, "Hey, man, yo, what's going on?" He's not going to talk that way. He's going to talk with them. That's what they do. Well, they do, and I don't mean this in any negative way at all. I just wanted to be authentic. So this is who I'm going for, because when I look at this particular actor, he's got the eyes. Crying Freeman sells it with his facial expression and the eyes. And the pictures I've seen of him, he's got a little bit of a smile, calm demeanor. Crying Freeman is not this overly bulk guy. He's cut, he's fit, but in a suit, he just looks normal, right? So when he takes it off, I can see him being Freeman. See, he can be an artist who is trapped into this scenario. And for the roles that he's done, from Kingdom to Heaven's Coin, Kingdom, he's done a whole lot of the Kingdom, right? So Kingdom 3, Kingdom 4, Kingdom 2. So he's done all the Kingdom ones. The Silent Service, the, Strawberry Night, Shield of Straw. He's got a lot. There's a lot. He's known for Wolf Children, the Great Yukawa War. So he's got a ton of stuff out there that I think, or I know from what I've seen and learned about him, that he would pull off Crying Freeman really well.
Okay.
Really well. Yes. Okay. That's my 2 cents there for playing Crying Freeman for the series. There we go.
Okay. That sounds good. I mean, it's one of those ones. Do you want someone or you want someone who's just not saying unknown, but a character an actor that basically who has what it takes and that no one knows, so it gives you an opportunity to say, I'm going to walk in there with a clean slate. So I understand what you're doing. Exactly,
and that's my whole premise with this one is because he's known, maybe not so much as a North American artist, an actor, right? But overseas, he's known. He's got skills. The amount of work he's done means he's got to be really good at it.
Yeah.
So if you're taking someone that has that type of range, and now this could be with a proper studio behind it, could be a big break and another, not a big break, not that he needs a big, but it would give him another push. It would open him up to North American audiences, right? Like Jackie Chan was known by everybody, but until he did Rumble in the Bronx, and Rumble in the Bronx was released here in North America, then people, say, "Oh my gosh, it's Jackie Chan guy, it's crazy."
Right.
Now, if you talk amongst our circles, we knew about Jackie Chan back in the Shaolin days. We knew about Jackie Chan when he was the stuntman for Bruce Lee. You know what I mean? In one of the scenes where he flies through the window, we knew Jackie Chan back then. Everyone in North America got to Jackie Chan when it did, Rumble in the Bronx, and went, "Oh, that's Jackie Chan." By the time they caught up to Jackie Chan, that was 300 movies too late for the rest of us. But now look at his career, from Rush Hour to everything else. It's even gone further, and I would like to see that with Takao, forgive my pronunciation, to take that next and make this role his, just like Alan Rickson made Hawk his role, just like he made Reacher his role.
Right.
I think there's an actor that can make the role and vice versa to a wider audiences, and I think 1-on-1 this would happen.
Okay. That sounds good.
That's my 2 cents.
All right then. Good 2 cents. Good 2 cents.
Did you end up casting his wife?
I did. Did you or no?
No, I did not. But I would still
okay. Then don't worry. That means okay. That's okay.
All right, then. All right. Put in the comments later on. There we go.
There you go.
So that's it. That's my whole take on Crying Freeman. All right, then. So, Rod, any last words?
No. I mean, other than hopefully that you liked what we were talking about, and some of the points sparked your interest and gave you something to think about. Then yeah, definitely. I hope you like what you heard. Make sure you put it in the comments below and let us know. And let us, hey, who do you think? Who do you think, could have, who believe is an actor that could could portray crying Freeman? Let us know. Let us know in the comments below. Go from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one, please let us know in the comments below who you think can portray Crime and Freeman. Are we on the right path or not? Let us know. Remember, also like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the show be a secret because we're trying to keep growing and your help helps all the time. So please, a little click from you goes a long way for us. And on that note, this whole world was created by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. We're out.